Welcome to the Exploring New England podcast with Ryan Zipp, where each week I will be talking about what makes this historic region such an amazing place to enjoy. From the scenic views to road trip ideas to where to grab the best eats and much more. Let's get going. Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the Exploring New England podcast with me, Ryan Zipp. We are now somewhat near the halfway point of summer here in New England, depending on when you count summer starting, I guess. If you go by Memorial Day, after that, we're a little bit more than halfway done. If you go by the actual summer, which I believe is like third week in June to third week in September, we're a little less than halfway there, like August 3rd-ish, 4th. I believe is like the actual halfway point. So that's a good sign. Still have a long way to go, but it definitely has been moving along at a considerable pace. Like usual, I'm running my shop, the Fat Robin, in Hamden, Connecticut, 5 days a week, Tuesday to Saturday, and then was on quite a streak for like the last 6 weeks of adventuring around different parts of New England with my camera on my days off. And this past weekend was kind of the last of that stretch, as this coming weekend I'm staying local to catch up on some things, stuff around the house, the yard, actual like some domestic things at my house to catch up on, because I don't always get time during the week, and feel like I'm playing catch up a lot, just with been shooting so many photos and so many things I haven't got to edit yet, and some may have to wait till next year when the content time frame rolls around. But that's just the way it goes. It's been an awesome stretch. Since June started, I got up to the White Mountains, mid-coast Maine, got to Nantucket, got out to Cape Cod, Newport, Rhode Island, Mystic, Stonington, Connecticut. And then this past weekend, I got up to coastal Maine again and covered a decent stretch of it. The main target of this trip, besides just enjoying this stretch, which if I had to pick one favorite spot in New England, it would probably be coastal Maine. It's hard because there are a number of places around New England that I really do love, and each has a kind of a special, component to me and a different reason why I love it there. But if again I had to pick just one, it would be coastal Maine, I think. So this weekend I went up that way to photograph the full moon rising, and I would have a chance for it on Saturday night and Sunday night. Saturday working at my store until about mid-afternoon. So the plan was to head up, and I got a room last minute in Wells, nice little coastal area just north of Ogunquit. It's a spot I actually stayed back in summer of 2021 called Moody's Cottages, and that's basically right across from Crescent Beach. Cool little beach spot there. It's called Webb Hannett Road. It's on. It's a nice road that you can walk or drive along the water there in Wells. This time of year is definitely nuts. As I was looking Saturday night in July, even the most basic, not very highly rated roadside motels were going well over $200. So definitely a crazy time to go, especially weekend. But obviously here it was time I had off, plus when the moon would be rising full. So decided to, just spend a little bit more than the basic and stay here so I could be across from the beach and actually have, able to enjoy walkover, and even had a little bit of a water view from my room. And having stayed there before, it was, nice to get back to a spot that I enjoyed the first time around. And another bonus to this location here at Moody's is it's basically right next door to the Wells Beach Lobster Pound. So it seems like one of those spots that's been there a long time, been in business a long time. Obviously, all sorts of fresh seafood, full kind of menu to order. And I remembered grabbing a lobster roll when I stayed here back in 2021 and being really, really solid. So was able to get there, check in, grab the room key, and then walked over to get a lobster roll. Kind of enjoyed that, looking out at the ocean, which is never a bad, um, you know, atmosphere. Add to the fresh tasting Maine lobster as well. Um, that gave me enough time to, make sure I was good to go with food, checking the hotel, and the plan for that night was to head up to Cape Porpoise, an area, coastal village part of Kennebunkport. I think like 20 minutes or so north from where I was. But using Photo Pills, the app I talked about a little bit last week, to plan a lot of my moonrises, sunsets, sunrises, other things as well. It showed me a spot that I thought could possibly work with the 99.2% moon rising up over the lighthouse in the distance, Goat Island Lighthouse, it's called. So, but looking at the weather, looking at some different models and, hourly reports, it was showing, 50, 60 plus percent cloud cover when the moon would be rising, which was like right around sunset time, if not a few minutes after. But, it was kind of one of those things. I was there and all in on it. So I'd also considered that spot because it was one where, in case it was too cloudy, but yet, you'd still be able to shoot some kind of sunset, I could pivot and kind of drive around the road from the spot a little bit and look back over the water to get some color. But I showed up and parked and then walked down to the area I thought I'd have to, stand to get the moon with a telephoto. And, as I'm there checking it out, this couple comes over and just start talking to me. And, I mentioned how I'm there, hopefully to photograph the moon above the lighthouse if the weather clears. And I was kind of showing them the Photo Pills app, just, saying how cool it was that I able to use that and predict it. And they're like, we had no idea it was even going to be, rising above it. They ended up being part of the family that owns a house and property right there. And that's really cool. Ended up meeting more of the family. Everybody was super nice. And, it's been in their family now for, I want to say close, over 70 something years. I believe they said it was 1950 when, some of their relatives purchased the land there, house, and, they have a dock out to the water. And the dock kind of lined up with the shot I was hoping to get. And they're very gracious to like tell me, go ahead, like, feel free to walk down the dock and enjoy and, hope you get some great photos. So it was really cool on top of, just being in coastal Maine, my favorite spot, and anticipating a moonrise, the excitement just to meet people like this was great. And that's another reason why I really enjoy traveling around New England with my camera and running into all these great people in every area. Just kind of adds more to the story and makes it, that much more rewarding when you can share what you do with others and, they appreciate it and kind of are, excited that you're there doing it. And, I even talked to them about it. And kind of different topic was like, just always respecting the property there and making sure, you don't block anybody in or, pull off the road, but don't pull anywhere it's obviously private or anything. So it's just like a remembrance to just be respectful no matter where you are. And a lot of times that'll go a long way where the locals, will, won't be so defensive or combative to you if you're just not being a jerk at the end of the day. So, but back to Saturday night when I was up there, we started talking more, and I basically had no idea if the moon was going to come through. It looked cloudier than other times when I've been out by the ocean for them, and the moon just didn't show up due to this low haze. So it was definitely like a 50-50 shot. And looking back over my shoulder, turning around, like a really nice sunset was beginning to take place. So then kind of had to make that decision. Do I bail on the moon and reposition because it was going to be a nice sunset? But I decided to kind of stay put where, I'll have other chances for sunsets up that way. And, I think I've shot a few before, but getting this, the moonrise there is like a once a year for that lineup. And also, who knows if I'll be able to get back there at that exact moment. So I'm glad I stuck with the moon and stayed there because a few minutes after it was set to rise, I started to see the, top of the glowing orangish moon, appear. And it couldn't have been any more perfect. It was right in between. There's the lighthouse there. I think it was the current one was built in like 1859. Forget why the first one failed and had to be rebuilt. And there was a keeper's house that I believe it was the same year, 1859. Some other buildings there, like a bell tower to the right. But the moon literally rose like right in the middle of all of it, so I couldn't have asked for a better lineup, and I was grateful that that it ended up working out. And so I just started firing away different compositions as because it started it rises up pretty quick when you're watching it rise full, especially with a telephoto lens. But I was able to get some horizontal compositions, vertical compositions. Obviously, Instagram always makes it, you want to get the vertical shots. So this one definitely lent itself to more of a horizontal, almost panoramic, due to the whole scene of the island with the different buildings and the lighthouse itself. So, but yeah, so when you open up night one with a success like that, it definitely sets the tone, and kind of you feel like you're playing with house money at that point because you already got a killer shot that you can only hope for, and most times ends up not working out. So got the moon rise the first night there, met the awesome family. Gonna share some more photos I didn't edit yet with them, and even talked about possibly wanting a print or something. So we'll definitely get them set up with it, and much appreciated. So I then head back to the hotel. They're kind of different buildings with rooms in them, not like a traditional hotel. They call them cottages. So definitely a cool spot to stay. Moody's Cottages again, because obviously you're parked there at the hotel. And then I got back. I was gonna walk the beach at night, but the tide was so high there was no beach. So just walked along the road a little bit, listening to the waves crash, which again is one of the best parts about being up there. And then retired for the evening. Woke up in the morning, walked a little out, on the road there, and then took a ride to a coffee spot in Wells that I like, called Brewed Awakenings. It's right there on Route 1. Got the standard iced mocha. They also had a blueberry bagel with like this homemade blueberry cream cheese. It was pretty good. I mean, bagel itself, used to more, New York style. In Connecticut, we have some good ones. So, but coffee's always really good, and they have like a pen there with some goats. So I went over, had to say hi. Saw them there the last time, and they have a chicken coop as well, where they, get the eggs to make their breakfast sandwiches. So headed back and took a stroll down Crescent Beach there. It was nice. The waves were coming in, but there was enough beach at that point. So just strolled with my coffee, walked pretty far out, turned around, walked back, and then went back to the hotel and kind of got ready, and then had to check out around 11 o'clock. Then the next phase would be to head north from like that southern coastal Maine area to the mid coast Maine area, and the kind of home base for that night and where I would be attempting for the moon again is up in Rockland. And this area up here I like a lot. There's a number of little peninsulas dropping down to different towns that I love as well along the way. Harpswell, Bailey Island, Booth Bay Harbor's down there. Obviously out to like Port Clyde area, Marshall Point Lighthouse in that general vicinity. It's also where I took the ferry out to Monhegan Island last year. But then you get up to like Rockland, Rockport, Camden. So it's kind of like a stretch that ends up working out for me to get to when I only have a couple nights to travel. I love getting up more further north to like obviously Acadia area, like Bar Harbor and such. But that one you definitely need 3 nights, I think, to even enjoy it. Obviously longer is better, but so up in Rockland, I would be staying at this great spot, 250 Maine Hotel right there. And I've stayed there a number of times, once working with Visit Maine and a couple times working with the Hotel Direct. And this time they set me up again. Just a bit of a deal this time of year, so I was grateful. But definitely my favorite spot to stay in that general area. Really nice building. The rooms are great, big, bright. Kind of have a modern touch to them, and just the location's amazing as well. You can walk right downtown. Also, you're kind of right across from the harbor. It's right across from where the big lobster pot Christmas tree is during the holidays. So again, just an awesome location, and just super nice hotel. They also have like a rooftop patio. You can go up there and relax at any point. Elevator or stairs goes up to it. I also had a room with like a little tiny patio, so it was nice to just relax out there a bit throughout my short stay. Um, Nice shower as well. Even has like a little window looking out, kind of like the small mountain in the distance. So great stay. 250 Maine in Rockland. Again, I'd recommend it. It's my favorite spot to stay in that whole mid coast Maine area. But so when I got up in the area, I had to make a stop over at McClune's Lobster. That's in South Thomaston. I've tried a number of lobster rolls all over Maine and all in New England, and there's a lot of good ones. But if I had to pick a best favorite, it would be McClune's. Just something about it. Obviously, the fresh lobster up there from the cold waters, and that's always the key ingredient to it all. But just the way they prepare it, the bun, everything, it's so simple, but just it's one of those things. I was telling someone, like, you take the first bite and you get sad because it's so good, but it's going to be gone soon. So it's like one of those ultimate things. And so I'm not sure if I'll be able to get back up that way again this summer. So I wanted to make sure that was like a high priority. So grabbed the lobster roll there, and then made it back to the actual hotel to check in when the time was available. So this definitely wasn't one of those trips where I'm like going around nonstop to like a million spots. It was more concentrated into the moon was the main target both nights, and then it was kind of food from there and just relaxing and enjoying the views. But then it was I wanted to check out a spot there. It's actually Rockport. It's like just over the line from Rockland. It's like an entire hotel resort, and also with a golf course called Samoset. And it basically goes right up to where the breakwater is, out to the Rockland Breakwater Lighthouse. And that was actually the target for the moonrise, was going to be to get the moon rising above the lighthouse in the distance. So a buddy of mine I grew up with here in Hamden, Connecticut, had just been up that way with family, and stayed there for, I don't know if it was a night or two, played golf, and just told me how amazing it was. And so I wanted to kind of check it out, even though I wasn't staying there, and grab some food. So I ended up going there and getting an early dinner with a friend that lives in the area. It was super nice property. Obviously, you have the golf course right there as well, and then the ocean right next to the course where their property ends. And went for like, it was like 5:30ish. Basically, I wanted an early dinner to be done to get back in position for the moonrise. So, but they have kind of a few dining options in. They have some outside tables. We tried out it's called La Bella Vita restaurant, Italian, obviously. And they also have a lounge that's like right there, kind of next to the restaurant, but a little more low key. I think it has like a good chunk of the menu, if not the whole menu, but again, it's a little more low key vibe. And I think that's like first come, first serve, whereas the other ones you generally need reservations. But started off with a spicy marg drink. Surprise, surprise. As I'm taping this, it's National Margarita Day on the 24th. So I threw up a little post actually on Instagram of some of my favorite tequila-based drinks from around New England. So check that out if you're curious and where each one was from. But then I couldn't help it. I'm just always in lobster heaven up that way. They had this like thick lobster bisque type soup, and so I had to try that out. It was very good. Not usually a soup guy, but something about it. I'm glad I did. A lot of good stuff on the menu, but again, when you're in a spot like that, and I have a problem with kind of going all out, so I went with the surf and turf, and it was good. The fillet itself was really tasty, and some vegetables as well with it. And he had this like kind of, I forget what they called the mashed potatoes, what else it had, but it was very good. So food was great. The views were amazing. It would definitely be an awesome place to stay, especially if anyone out there is a golfer and loves these New England trips like that. I don't know what kind of packages they offer, but they have the golf course there. You could do it up with a cart, practice balls, and all that, I believe. So that's Samoset is the name of the resort. So after eating, kind of on the way back, checked out the spot for where I had to be in position for moonrise, and unfortunately, I wasn't going to be able to get to the spot I had envisioned initially. I thought I'd be able to possibly get down by the water or a little more to the right, but there was big signs at private property, so I couldn't even get to the water. There was no easy way to get down there. So I kind of made my way over and just kept checking with, photo pills and seeing where I can get. And there was one opening in the trees that was as far right as I can get that would have to work. It would basically be my only option. And so I decided I would just kind of go with it and play it by ear. As often as I plan these, they don't always go to plan, whether it's Mother Nature or just the spot didn't end up working out how I envisioned. Went back to the hotel to reset, and then, got back, probably a little before sunset. And on the moon was actually full, I believe, when it set around like 6 a.m. that morning. But so it was 99.8 or something that night. But the problem is it would be rising around 9, which means it's a lot darker than the night before. So if you're trying to get anything in the scene, it's going to be very tough. And I initially wanted to get the moon rising like up over the tree line behind the water, and then above the lighthouse to get it, nice and large with telephoto like I often do with my lighthouse moonrises. And then, have the best chance to have any ambient light left, as soon as it popped up. But since it came up a bit more left than I was hoping for due to me not being able to get in the spot I had hoped for, I obviously started firing off shots, but it was not close to the lighthouse at all. So by the time it got up a little more and was somewhat close, and I was able to finally, frame it with something kind of cool, have the, the trees made a little window into it. So I used that, and there was a boat, like a sailboat, on a mooring there. And then also, as it rose up, it had a really pronounced reflection of the moon, the orange of the moon. So I was able to put a scene together, but like for you photographers out there, I was shooting at ISO 12,800, which is crazy high. Luckily, my camera can handle it, the Canon R5, and also with Adobe's new denoise kind of plug-in software. It does a pretty amazing job at, cleaning up the photos and, the new technology, the camera lenses, and obviously the software, you're able to just get images you could just never get before, years ago. So I was able to put together a shot that I really liked, and the more I look at it, the more I do like it. Sometimes it's hard to shake that it wasn't what you had in mind, but again, you can't always control everything. So that was 2 for 2 basically. I'd call it 2 for 2, even though it wasn't the shot I had planned. So to go up and be able to shoot 2 moonrises and have Mother Nature cooperate, especially along the coast, I couldn't ask for anything else. Then next morning, got up and walked over to Rock City Coffee, which is a favorite of mine in that area. It's one of the times I veer for my ice mocha, and it's called a Maine morning, and I get it iced, and that's a Maine blueberry and Maine maple syrup in it. So it's always delicious. Got a egg and cheese on a croissant to go with it as well. So enjoyed that down by the water. Again, it was a little more take it slow, enjoy the trip. Got ready, checked out, and then basically just made my way down slowly, the next day until eventually back to Connecticut. Passed back through Kennebunkport. Ended up driving by the Bush compound there. I pulled over and took a few shots. I didn't have any just for the content collection, but it's always, I try to just find as many coastal roads as I can drive back. So drove through Kennebunkport, Wells, and Gunkwit this time of year is just so nuts. I love it there, but I didn't want to deal with traffic, so I ended up cutting over and then making my way back. So successful weekend away in Maine. Always good no matter what time of year, but the summer vibes there are amazing. Just in some of the towns you're going to deal with just a ton of people and the beach is packed. So those areas specifically, I do like to hit up a little more off season. So but hope you guys, if you haven't yet, check out my Instagram. I posted both those shots, as well as a few throwbacks from previous July moonrises around New England. And so I believe I kind of did a little, preview of it, but now we're into sunflower blooms. And there's still hydrangeas going strong in some spots, which is wild to me. It's amazing how good of a year it was. But now we start moving on to sunflowers. And one of the nicest fields that I think for photography and enjoying is right here in Connecticut, up in Griswold, Connecticut. I mentioned it last week, and it's called Buttonwood Farm. they started planting sunflowers there over 20 years ago. And then I forget exactly when they started doing it, but they decided to start raising money for Make-A-Wish Connecticut. And they have a separate field there where you could pay, it's $3 to go in, give you a pair of shears or whatever. And any flower you cut down, I believe, is $3. You can make a bouquet, how many you want. And then 100% of the proceeds from that goes to Make-A-Wish Connecticut. So it's a great experience. It's fun. And also every dollar goes to a great cause. This year, the Sunflower, festival there is going on July 20th to 28th. So basically now through the 28th. So get there any day. This weekend should probably be pretty busy. I don't know if I'm going to pop over there yet or not. I went first in 2014. Gotten back most years, maybe not every year, but I always enjoy a visit. They have like 300,000 sunflowers over 14 acres. They also have an ice cream stand there, very good. They've been doing that since 1998. They make it on the farm, small batch premium ice cream, like 50 flavors. So fresh waffle cones, real whipped cream, etc. So if you go, especially later in the day, weekends, just be prepared to wait in a line, but it is good. So just enjoy the experience, but definitely, something fun to go do all around. There's a field you can walk through without paying anything, and there's another one on the opposite side of the road where the sun does set behind it. I've gotten some great shots there as well. So that's Buttonwood Farm in Griswold. So check that out. Look up their website for any other details. It doesn't cost any money to go, only if you want to pick the flowers. And then another spot happening soon is up in Lee, New Hampshire, southern New Hampshire. It's called Copple House Farms. I had never been until last year. I went for the first time. And on one of the early mornings, they offer a sunrise admission. It's a separate admission. I think it's a little more money. This year, that's the 28th. That's like at 5:30. You can go over to get that morning light. It's a special session. Otherwise, it's July 27th to August 4th. And I believe it's 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. If you purchase a ticket online, it's cheaper than getting it in person. So if you're going to go, I'd recommend doing that. These sunflowers they plant are specifically ones to then make into culinary oil. So they said, I was reading about it, they only last the blooms typically 12 days. A lot of ornamental sunflowers can last up to 3 weeks. So with these, that's why the dates are so specific and finite there. So every fall, once they're done, they harvest them and then cultivate it into a culinary oil to sell. So they have a shop there. They like T-shirts and other different, things you could buy, gifts and some food. I believe they have meat too from the farm. Cheaper on weekdays and ahead of time again. And they also donate like 10% of the emissions they make to some local organizations. They have food vendors, I think most days, again, check, and live music on the weekends where the dates are going on. So that's in Lee, New Hampshire, Copple House Farms. You have Buttonwood Farm, that's in Griswold, Connecticut. So those are two going on now or in the next week. Both amazing fields, great to go, all ages. I believe you could do professional photo shoots if you want portraits. I think at both you have to just, let them know ahead of time and pay a fee. And there's certain rules or restrictions. So check out more details for that. I'm not a portrait photographer, so I've never done it. Just go there to get the scenery. So yeah, sunflowers starting. Maine moonrise trip was successful. And we're, again, roughly halfway through the summer. A little less, a little more, depending how you look at it. I'm starting to have some stuff on the calendar for the next couple months. Some stuff is penciled in and looking forward to filling in more and actually starting to look ahead till October foliage. So we're moving along, but trying to just slow down and enjoy it as much as possible as well. A lot more lobster rolls to eat, mudslides to drink, and great areas in New England to cover. So thank you guys again for tuning in and all the support. Again, make sure to subscribe where you can, give a thumbs up, good ratings, and share with anybody you know who might enjoy it. So we'll see you guys next week, and keep enjoying summer.